This is Gerald van Wassen. I have for every letter a very fixed position. So you also expect, of course, that every letter has a very fixed value, especially when it is about values. And that's a bit strange, of course, that you also have certain values that are described with the letters that have actually very defined definitions, but not so much fixed values. And a very good example are the words which start with the letter S, and they have a kind of complexity there because the definitions itself, what is short, what is small, is defined. You can define it, you can describe it, but the value itself, how big it is, how small it is, how short it is not defined because that depends on the conditions. These conditions that are depending on the conditional conditions that define it are much more important. That's why they start with the letter S, and I'll try to explain it how this letter S works as a focus, because it doesn't start from fixed values, but it starts from an estimation zone that allows a full definition with certain defined kinds of values, but not the numerical values. They are not fixed at that point, and that makes it a bit more strange and weird, but that's what is described with these letters. There's a reason why there are three different orientations in letters also, and certain values are not really that fixed as we want them to have them in space, in the spatial context. They all only are fixed values, and we try to find definition where we can work with is whole with a value that is divided by 1, as a matter of speaking. We can use them as values, but there are certain values that work differently, like also in timings. When they are based upon timings, some things are different in a different time, and they changed over time and so on. We have to think in a different way, and in context is even more so that we have variables that don't have fixed values, not even in positions in time, that you have a fixed position in time here and a fixed position in another time, and you can make comparisons. No, it is about a value that has variables all the time. We have some examples. For instance, if you have a value of, like for instance, water or juice or these things, they have no fixed form, no fixed no fixed timing where and how they behave or how big they are and so on, but they have a certain value of behavior with some variables, so you can still define them. And even in the values like short and small, which are measurements, if you start measurements with the letter S, these are measurements that can only be measured via context. The S is a letter from that third perspective. The third perspective is you can only have values by context. It is in between 0 and infinity, let's say. And in between that, there is behaviorism. This behaviorism is changing all the time, and depending on the moment, on the moment that you pick out, it's different. If you have, for instance, also certain tastes, every time, every moment, they show different variations. But something is like, it is sweet, is always sweet, but how sweet is not defined. So the real values in numbers, they are difficult from that position. So also short and small don't have fixed values in numbers, but they do have a sensibility. You can sense it because it's in between a zone that you can sense it with the variables, and you have a definition that you know where it is about. You have the experience to sense that definition, and you have these values, you sense these values, and it's only different each time. That's how S is that starting point of that kind of values. And I read here, the value of S is a variable which depends on time and place, how large it is at each moment of its performance of its formula. It can be sensed each moment, but it cannot be defined with exact measurements except when related to those timed contemporary conditions which are encountered time and time again. That's the way of thinking of S as the last and most complex letter in that system of order, in that numerical order as well. So that's where we start from. So the S, we have also that range of experience there, which we can, where we will start our measurements, how we will define in the end what will be there at the moment where we define our experience, and our experience will now define the definition. So how will this definition of short or small will look like will be defined by a couple of next letters, of course. So we have S plus H. H is always about the area in which all the values are shown. So the whole range of values are shown. So that will also then define that it's not just that vague definition, okay, I have a formula and I will recognize it. I will recognize also its full capacity and so on. So that's what we already know by interpreting that letter. H is always about that time and place where all the things, all the whole formula can be worked out with all of its values. So that's that range of experience. So where is that then? It is a bit unclear for me in the beginning. So is that only between 0 and infinity, that part where you have that on top on the timings that you have, or do you also have that range of the places that they are where you have them encountered? That's not clear. H is space and time actually should be, and it's in between that zone of space and time that you have this range of experience. O is about that range let's say again, it's about that range of experience, but it's that range of that spatial length and also enlargement. Seen from space itself is an enlargement with a timing involved. That timing is the most important thing for O. O is related with that next frame, the timing, so it will be mostly about a reference point which bases itself not on space but on timing first. What is a good word to remember? Where to recognize O? The moment, for instance, is a very good thing, but it's also the momentums. It's a whole range of momentums that you have a highlight, there it disappears, there it appears. It's in between that zone. It is defined within O. So far, just with short, you don't have much room to say, okay, to what does it really connect to? There's an appearance somewhere next to the O. There's place for it. You have some variations of what could be there, but it doesn't say much more than that there is an appearance. Of course, there will be a connection to something. So what will it connect to will be connected via the next letter, the letter R. The letter R should connect the dots to what it is connecting and should also add the correct material to it. So what shall it correct to? Of course, it will correct to the letters. The letters themselves are S, H, O, and R so far. So we have that range of estimating, this estimating range of where this will be able to appear, and there it will appear, and something will appear. somewhere there far away on the edges of what we can still measure well. It doesn't say much yet, but we have another word that is very close to it, and that is the word with, instead of with an T, which makes that position real, we also have it that it appears for a longer time. So something is appearing there in the far distance for a longer time with the word shore, because A is about, yeah, we give it some certain time for things that are changing there, where we are watching it over, and that is appearing there at the edges. We can imagine that, we can sense that, so that's something that we can imagine what that shore means just by the positions alone, without even understanding what do we see, what's coming ashore there. But it will make that connection as well via the author that we're going to look for. What will it connect us to? With the T, it will just connect us to the place. So there's a small appearance in time, but it will connect us to the place. Just that small rightful moment at that place. Still, I don't think it's very clear at that moment, so I'll try to put it in the middle. So when I put it in the middle, I have a bit more clear view that I make a connection to it. So what appears there, what appears in time as well, but it appears in time and space at the same time. And I have it somewhere very far at the border where I can see it appearing. Very short in time, it will appear at a moment, at a place. And that's it. That's a short moment which can be used as a glimpse upon it, where it will appear. And that's more or less what short, I think, will be the meaningfulness of short, or refers to a moment, T to a place. And for the rest, it's about that experience that you connect to, and it has its full capacity, that you can resume it into that moment, to that short moment that you have for it. So already in the letters you can derive from it where it is about. You know, of course, this estimation thing in S doesn't make it easy for us, because we will not have fixed values but a range of values, and not more than that. But the short will have a clue, will give us a clue that O is about timing and T about placement. So it's something in between that moment and placement that we can resume it and connect to it. Different is, of course, small. If we look at the letters where they come from, where they are in the system, the A is about placement, so it will be more focused on place. M is also about enlarging a form, like materializing a form at a place. With L, a form that can get a form. With L again, so it is about materialization. This is very much about a focus in space, much more than about timing, but of course with this vagueness of estimation. So how big it is in numbers will not be defined. The only thing we still don't know, that it is about that small, but it is that placement of that what is materialization is already clear. So how is that described? The M on its own is about extension of matter, actually becoming bigger, you would say. But it's becoming bigger. What is becoming bigger? It's not starting from the physicality, from the place itself, from the object itself. No, it's starting from the estimation. The estimation is enlarged. That's what it is. The estimation is enlarging itself. So you want to have more variables. You want to look closer. So yeah, that's what it actually is doing by using this letter. And SMA we have done. So we have that first, that undefinedness in size, but the realization, what there is what is going to become materialized. So far, so good. And then with A to it, we want to have a real objective notice about it. How much is there actually materializing? It doesn't say it is materializing and becoming bigger. It is more like, how much do we estimate here that what is materializing there? And that's where I have this A as a fixed objective there, so that I want to have an objective notice. What do I have there? And what do I have there is described then in L plus L. So L is the form that is forming itself additionally. So there is first there's nothing and then there comes a form. So we have a point of focus where something is formed from there, with another L where something is formed from. So what is getting formed? What is getting more form, you could say as well, or is getting more form of my focus. Because my foundation is still about focus. How well can I have this focus? How much enlargements can I have with my focus? And I look at the form, and I look at the form which is forming. It's actually, if you look at the form which is forming, you're not really going to have a bigger and bigger form. You're really having a closer and closer look. M is materializing, and then the form, and you have then a form on top of the form, so that you can see how much it's growing actually. So it is about, yeah, how much it is indeed growing, and that is not getting the things bigger in the way, because it's about your focus. Your focus is getting narrower and narrower. So we put our focus closer and closer down, so that we realize in the place what we are looking at. I hope these were clear enough. They were not easy words because of this estimating letter, the letter S. But I hope I could make them clear. Thanks again for watching. Bye.